What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again this week, and we are super excited by this amazing surprise guest that we are having on the show today. Many of you have probably heard of her. It's Jody Moore. Jody, how are you doing?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I won the lottery with that.
Oh, come on. No, we won the lottery. You didn't win the lottery.
I wish I could wake up to that every day.
Right, exactly. Now, Jody, let me for real quick, I want to tell you the story of how
we give you a little background.
A little backstory of how Jody ended up talking to us today. And then I want you to tell everybody a little bit about you. But we were on a member call a couple weeks ago, and someone said something about, hey, I heard somebody was talking about you guys on a podcast. This was just in the chat, almost like side chatter of what we were talking about.
Yeah, so it's like people talking to other people, and they were like, hey, this was a great podcast.
And so Jocelyn, we look it up, and I'm like, Jody Moore. Who's Jody Moore? That name sounds
familiar.
So we look it up, and we're like, oh yeah, Jody Moore. And she got this podcast, and I was like, Jocelyn, this podcast has like 1 million reviews. I was like, wait a minute, what? And then so we read the thing, and I pull up the episode. Someone sent. I was like, could you send me the link? I reached back out to the member, and they sent it to me, and I was listening to it, and you were just like, oh yeah, memberships and online business and memberships are awesome. And I learned from Shane and Jocelyn taught me about memberships and how cool it was. And I started a membership and I grew this community. And I was like, what? So I sent a message out to you guys, and you were like, yeah, so we started this membership, my podcast, we do this, we do that. And I was like, and we have like 4,000 members. And I went, again, for the third time, what? So, so I'm like, I was freaking out. So fill in the gaps here, Jody. What happened? Yeah. What do you do? What is your podcast about? And how'd the membership get rolling?
Yeah, it's such a fun story. So I am a life coach, which sometimes sounds strange to people, but I specialize in working with women. I started my business almost 6 years ago, wanting to help women who were similar to myself. I have 4 kids. And being a mom was the most amazing but hardest job ever. And I just was overwhelmed and frustrated. And I felt guilty for feeling that way because I felt like I should be grateful I have these healthy kids. And anyway, just kind of went down this whole rabbit hole myself that led me to coaching. And then I became a coach. So I coached one-on-one for a while. I did private coaching. And once and that is kind of what led me to starting the podcast too. My podcast is designed to put tools out there for people that can't afford to pay a coach, but also it's marketing and it brings people into my business. Once I was maxed out on one-on-one, meaning I had a wait list and I didn't feel I wanted to raise my prices anymore. I started coaching in smaller groups, but even then I could tell I need to scale and I didn't know how. And my mentor and teacher, Brooke Castillo, are you familiar with Brooke Castillo?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, we are, for sure.
Yeah. So she's the one who said to me, hey, maybe you should do a membership. Just casually. And I was like, I don't even know how that works. And what is that? And she just said, go listen to the Flip Lifestyle podcast. And I said, okay. And I just started listening to your episodes. Like, I love how you bring real people on, you answer questions, you talk about it, just one after another. So when I hear your voices, I feel the same way my listeners do. Like, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I feel like I know you so well.
You have rented space in my brain cells somewhere in my memories. Yes. But
what's funny is you mentioned Brooke, one of my mastermind friends on our Voxer chat. She put in just 30 or 40 minutes ago. She's like, you got to go listen to Brooke's podcast today. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned her. Yes. It's like full circle,
Yes. So I just listened. I paid attention to what you guys said. I finally decided I really should join the community so that I have access to the other tools that I need, which was great. I wasn't ever super active in the community in terms of like interacting with other people, but it was perfect for me because I could go there and be like, oh, here's a video that Shane did on how to set up forums. Let me just watch that. And then you guys were also there when I had questions and I was stuck, and just, it was all me setting it up, figuring out the tech, all of it. And I just kept plugging away one right after another. And so you guys really helped me get everything set up and started. And I didn't even really get to know you. Like I said, I just popped in for what I needed. And then I just went back and got to work.
It's so funny though. Like we think about that when we create things.
Yeah,
Like that's
totally.
like the goal. Jocelyn and I always want people to have their next step. It's not about like this
Mhm.
big grand plan that you do everything we tell you to do, or
Right.
even showing up for everything. It's like, oh, that's what I need right
Yes.
now. And you go use
That's
that
right.
to do whatever you want to do.
And you know what? I would say that there's a spectrum in the community. There are probably some people who are like super dependent on the community aspect, and that's pretty much all they do.
But never watch a course.
And then there's other
Right.
people who, pretty much they're self-starters and they just need the courses to get started. And that's kind of
Yes.
how I am. Like when I buy something, I don't really dive into the whole big conversation. A lot of the education that I buy online, like it'll have a Facebook group or it'll have some type of community aspect, and I very rarely participate in those.
And I'm the opposite. I don't even watch courses. I just talk to people all the time.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
And it's just different learning styles,
For sure.
Yeah.
So how did you present this to your email list, your audience, your podcast? So you're basically known as a one-on-one life coach.
Yes.
Your podcast is growing. Your audience is clearly growing, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, by the way, we're going to start this membership thing. How did you roll that out?
I really loved what you guys taught, and I don't know if you're still teaching it the same way, but what I learned from you guys was, listen, you don't have to have a big launch. You could just open the door and maybe 2 people come in and then you keep growing it. And for me, mentally, that was a helpful way to think about it. At the same time, I did have a big enough following that I wanted to get some momentum, but I don't do well with tons of details and complication. So I kept it very simple. I didn't tell myself this is going to be a big whatever launch. I dropped a few seeds to my list. Like I have a new program coming soon that you're going to be really excited about. I am really good at sales. I'll say that. So I really sold people on you're going to love what I have coming. It's going to be so much more affordable, which it is. It's $49 a month. And I was charging by the end around $1,800 to do 9 coaching sessions with me. So
wow.
I just knew I could help so many more people. And anyway, I just kind of dropped seeds about it enough. And I opened the doors January of, what would the year been? I'm going into my 4th year now. So
17, 16 maybe?
Yeah. And I think I had right the first week I opened the door, I think I had 75 people sign up.
So guys, go out there with everything going on in the world, everything that's happening on the news. Just remember, you can help someone, you can help each other. We are all equal. We are all the same. And we can all do these amazing things if we get out there and make them happen. So until next time, get out there, take action, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then. Bye.